This is something Judy would do. Let's have a show of hands. Who was in shul last Shabbos? Okay, call it about to you guys. Call it about you guys. I wasn't. Oh, schliffen gesund. So if you were lucky enough to be in shul last week, you heard and said, I guess, Chazak, Vinis, Chazak, because we finished part Chumash Breshis. And Miriam knows what I'm going to say because we love this sport. Is that some people feel kind of like when we finish Chumash Breshis because it was such a great Chumash. Come on, who doesn't like hanging out with the Avos and the Emos and Yosef Atzadik and Yehuda? Like it's like the best storybook ever, you know. And everything so the good news is that Shmos starts off with Ve Ele Shmos B'nai Yisrael. So what's the Ve? And these are so what do you need the and for? We're starting a new sefer. So the answer is that everything that we've learned in Chumash Shmos is coming with us. Breshis. Thank you. Everything that we learned in Chumash Breshis is coming with us. It's not like, okay, we did Breshis, that's finished. Next, Shmos. No, not at all. Ve elu Shmos b'nei Yisrael. Ve, the ve is above. It means and, but we always know it's the connector, right? It's the connector, whatever. It's always connecting something one with the other. So we're taking everything that we've learned, B'ezrat Hashem, we're taking everything that we've learned from Chumash Breshis and bringing it into Shmos. Okay, now Shmos is a very big parsha. There's lots going on. What I'd like to do is concentrate on the bush, the famous burning bush. And a lot of times when somebody speaks, they tell a story and then a Dvar Torah. I'm going to do it the other way around and you will understand why. I'm going to say the Dvar Torah and then the story, okay? So the pasuk says, "V'hine asneh bo'er be'esh, v'sneh einenu ukal." We all know this pasuk, right? Behold. Also, we know if it says "hine," it means something big is coming up. Okay, that's just a good thing to keep in mind. Hine, wow, the bush is burning in fire, but it's not being consumed. Wow, that's kind of cool, right? Like, I can't do that. You can't do that. It's a pretty cool. So here's Moshe Rabbeinu, right? He's shepherding his sheep and he goes and he sees this sight. And it says he turns. Doesn't mean he just physically turns. It means he puts his whole body and his mind into what is going on. He turns to see this sight. What is this? Why am I being shown this? And this is from the Siva Shalom. And so the Siva Shalom wants to ask the question, why does Hashem show him this particular sight? Because what's he going to do next? Hashem's going to say, Moshe, go to Mitzrayim and redeem the Jews, right? And they're going to be up there for a whole week and discussing this back and forth. But the question is, why did Hashem Dafkas give him this sight of the burning bush? What is Moshe Rabbeinu and also us? What are we supposed to be learning, practically speaking, from the bush? Okay, so we know it says also in Devarim, it says, Ki b'chipazon yatzata mi Mitzrayim. The Jewish people left in haste from Egypt, right? We left in haste. So what does that mean? Israel fell to the 49th level of Tumah, right? And we know that the 50th level is kaput, gone, avud, lost. So it's really, really very dangerous situation. That's why we had to leave Bechipazon in haste. So there's a question is, why did Hashem wait till the very last second? I mean, I wouldn't have done that. No one's voting for me to be Hashem, but I would not have done that. I think 47, 48, and I'd be like, even though I teach Bitachon, but I don't think I would have waited till the 49th. That's like that's a little scary, right? It's like driving on the. Oh yeah, we have enough gas. Can we go get gas? No, we're fine. We don't do these things. We don't. But Hashem waited until the very, very last moment until until Hashem took us out. Why? Okay, so the answer is a lot of people here are into gardening, and you're going to understand this a lot more than me. When you take a seed and you plant it, what's the first thing that happens? It rots. It rots. Now it has to rot, okay? But if it rots completely, then it dies, right? But it rots just until a certain point, and then it grows. Okay, now there's Aramaic term that no one's ever heard before, so it's called kusta dechiusa, and the translation is limited life force. There's this thing there's a very, very fine line between lack and existence called kusta dechiuta. So the seed has to rot, but just until it has left in it only this limited life force. There can't be new growth until there's this lack, right? Until there's this rotting. And until the old doesn't begin to rot, the new cannot grow, okay? But if the seed rots completely and this kusta de iusa doesn't remain, there can be no new growth. New growth happens when the seed is somewhere between lack and existence. And this was the state of the Jewish people in Mitzrayim. That's where we were. We had fallen to the 49th gate of Tumah, and all we had left was this kusta dechiyuta. And that is why Hashem waited until the last moment. Okay? Back to the bush. The bush represents the Jewish people, right? So Moshe turned to try to understand how could it be that the Jewish people still have this limited life force? What do we have? He just looked at us, and it says Ra'ah Ra'iti. Hashem says, I saw with two words. I surely saw. And when it says two, the same word twice, you know that it's a emphasis. So Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, you saw, but I saw the thing, like I saw the double. And what did Hashem see? That no matter how low a Jew falls, a Jew has emunah. It doesn't matter how low it falls. That was the kusa, the chita that the Jewish people had that kept them from being destroyed completely, was the fact that they had this emunah. Are you guys with me? Okay, so Chazal says, how do we know this? How does Nasiv Shalom know this? B'schut Amuna nigalu avasenu miMitzrayim. In the merit of Amuna, on faith, our forefathers were redeemed from Mitzrayim. That's all they had. All they had left was their faith.
Where's that from? That possible?
B'schut Amuna nigalu avasenu b'Mitzrayim. It says Amar Chazal. I don't know. Okay. Nasiv Shalom doesn't put all the
Chazal. Okay.
Right. All they had was their faith, which is in the root of every single Jew, in every Nishmat Yisrael, because we have a piece of Hashem in us. And we are called what? Maminim, B'nai Maminim, believers, son of believers. So no matter how far a Jew falls, he or she has built inside them the emunah, which comes from this thing called kusta dechita. Okay, which from here becomes new growth. So I have to read this thing in Hebrew because I thought it was so beautiful from Maran Mikhlovich. Shall Yehudi la'amin shehu mamin. A Jew needs to believe that she believes. Af she'enu margish, even if we don't feel it, we're not in a good place. Ken ya'amin, we have to believe. Ki b'pnimiot nafsho maminhu, because in the depth of our soul we do believe. Ela she'avim mechazim mimenu et or hamuna, but thick clouds cover the light of Amuna. Now, this is, if you take anything away, this is the next thing. It's from the Maran of Kubrin. He says the worst thing that a Jew could do is to be satisfied, to be, he says, uses the word mushlam. I don't know, satisfied. I don't know if there's another word for mushlam. What? Perfect, complete, complacent. Thank you. The worst thing is when a Jew is complacent with his level of spirituality and doesn't strive to change it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in this room who's like that. And he gives a mashal. The mashal is like if somebody falls into a pit, right? And for the whole time that you're hearing him screaming or crying, you know what? He's alive. But then all of a sudden, if you don't hear anything, pachad mavet, right? You're like, whoa, that's it, right? So it's the same thing goes. As long as we have this kusta de chiuta, this limited life force, we know that we have the power for new growth. And we know that what was called the Isarusa de Geula, what was the beginning of the Geula, is when the Jews cried out. They didn't even speak. They were just, they call it anacha, like a sigh. Okay, now I said I want to tell this vort because I want to tell a story. So last week, Elisheva sent me a WhatsApp. The WhatsApp was about Hachnasas Torah, Hachnasas Sefer, yes. She sent me a WhatsApp of a Hachnasas Sefer Torah. A man whose daughter, Daniela, is a hostage. 19-year-old daughter is a hostage. And him and his friend have done tshuva since October 7th. To me, he was down on the bottom. He was on the bottom. I don't know if there's a worse situation than this. And he had a choice to completely get to rot, and no one would have blamed him for that. Or he could have picked himself up, which is what he did. And he did tshuva, and he did this Hachnasas Sefer Torah. So this is the choice that we have. No one, I think, can compare themselves to a father of a 19-year-old girl in the hands of monsters. And this is what he has decided to do. Now, the postscript of this story is that Daniela Bas Gilboa is the hostage that I daven for. And basically, this is what our choices are in life. When we fall to a place, it's really, really hard and really, really, I don't want to use my situation. Everybody has their situations. I have a son who's who's a chayal next to the Hermon on the Syrian side. Every time I say that, my family says, it's not the Syrian side anymore, it's our side. And I have another son who's like, I don't know, he's been all over the place, whatever. He's also a chayal. So we have a choice of how we're going to deal with all our situations in life, whether it's the war and the hostages, whether it's our own personal things that we're going to do. That we have something that as soon as we say, I can't do this anymore, you have to say, well, actually you can. And hopefully you have a good friend or a therapist or a spouse or Nesivas Shalom, who's going to tell you, yeah, you can, because Kol Yehudi Tzarich Lamin Shehu Mamin. We have to believe that we believe. So Hashem should give us all this koach to take whatever that we're going through in our lives and be able to turn it around and get our Yeshuot and give Hashem nachas.
Okay. Hi, Susan. Oh, okay. Just stop, stand up, sit down. Okay. As I mean, most of you know, we've been doing this 10 years. 10 years. We have this week and 2 more weeks after this, and we were going to do a siyum on the Lamed Tet Melachos. Pretty, that's, who's making the cake? That's what I'm saying. Where's that little Maya? No.
Laura raised her hand.
Okay, Laura, in the shape of a 39, can you do that? Okay. So, anyway, so we're finishing up the laws of chutzah, carrying, and we've been talking about just some sort of incidental issues, like things that kind of come up in everyday life, like, yes, you can carry your glass eye. But we're going on. That's an arrow. Because everything that we're talking about is without an Eruv, which is the situation does exist. Eruvs fall, and people do go to Chutz La'aretz, and there are actually, unfortunately, places in Israel where there are not Eruvim. So there you go. Okay, so a blind person walking with a cane. So a blind person can walk with a cane, right? It's considered to be like a third leg. They wouldn't be able to walk without, even though it's not supporting your weight, but it is guiding you through the world. On the other hand, if a person knew a place very well, right? They're walking, there's the park across the street, they go walking there every single day. They know every bump, every curb, every bench, so that person would probably not be able to carry a cane in that situation because it's not something that's essential for their walking, for their getting around. You don't like it? It says a competent Rav, not me. A competent Rav should be consulted in this case. I mean, I think there are people who listen. We know people who have difficulty seeing, and they just walk out, and they're not afraid, and they're very brave, courageous people who do such things. Where is she? And yeah, I mean, nothing stops her, right? And there are other people who are a little bit more tentative and might need something. Anyways, okay. Walking while dripping wet in a Reshus Harabim. Okay. You've been, I know. No, it's the next one the next one about spitting in a Reshus. Okay, that's the one you've really been wondering. I don't know. Halacha just gets right in there, right? Okay, so walking while dripping wet. So you're out, and as you did not anticipate, the skies open up, the bracha comes down, you're sopping wet, and you're actually carrying quite a bit of water on your body. So would you be able to, would you have to strip right there on the spot? Or could you go someplace? So the answer is that that it's not considered carrying. It's carrying, but it's la'achar yad. It's not in the regular manner. And and also because Chazal understood that a person could never really predict what the weather would be. We all get surprised from time to time with a rainstorm, right? So they could not make any kind of limitation on wearing wet clothes. So if it does happen, you can walk home and dry yourself off and become all comfy. And so, okay, this really is spitting or pouring water into Reshus Harabim. I'm sorry, somebody's got to do it. Okay, so you cannot. Okay, you can't stretch your head from your Reshus Hayachid, your private domain, out onto the street, which is a public domain, or Reshus Harabim, and go. Okay, you can't. Never mind. You can't do it. You just can't do it. That's all. The same thing about pouring water. It's like you got this cup. What do I do with it? You can't do it. As a matter of fact, that a person has to be concerned when you're, let's say you're in your sukkah on Shabbos and you want to wash on the street. You want to wash. You don't want to go into the house. You have a water source. You don't want to go. So if there's a possibility that the water that you're pouring spills from your Reshus Hayachid, your private domain, and it's going to roll into this public domain, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to go into the house. Also, you have to be concerned about whether the water would drip into your garden and water your plants and water the grass. So you have to be careful with this extraneous pouring.
I have a question. You said you can't spit anymore. You can't spit it. It's a private, it's a public domain. You can't transfer. But if you were outside anyway?
Right. Not sure. Not sure. I think I don't. Right. Couldn't be carrying a tissue. I don't know. I don't know.
You just can't do a private.
Right. We know that in the area of Hotzah, there's two. Right. You could. In the area of Hotzah, there are two main issues, right? There's the issue of transferring something from one. Settle down, people. I told you that's what my high school principal used to say. Settle down, people. Okay, you can't move something from one domain to the other, right? That's the difficulty in carrying. You can't move something from a public to a private to, and then there's another issue of carrying within a public domain. So that would be that case, and just not, I don't want to say. I could guess, but wouldn't be worth that much. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, just one more thing, and that is if something was brought outside of the Eruv. Okay, so here we have a situation where there is an Eruv, and you're on your camping trip. You've built this little Eruv, and you unroll your sleeping bag, and the Eruv is outside of the part of it is outside of the Eruv. So you part of the sleeping bag is outside of the Eruv. So you would not be allowed to bring it in. That would be, even though part of it is inside the Eruv, you would not be allowed to bring it inside. Can you sleep in it? Yeah, that doesn't say that. I think so. I know. I was trying to figure out why would you not be able to do it? It doesn't talk about it, but I can't see any reason why you would not be able to. Just your feet would be outside of the Eruv. If you can live with that. So, okay. So also if a kid's ball rolls into the street, nished outside of the Eruv, can't do anything about it. There are a couple of situations. Well, there's a couple of situations where you are allowed to, and that's they describe the situation where it used to be before there were bindings on books that people everything was on a scroll. The Chumash was on a scroll, the Gemara was on a scroll, and if a person was reading from their scroll, and the thing rolled out of their hands and rolled outside of the Eruv. What do you think?
Yeah, it's cut off.
Exactly right. Okay. Exactly. Because you would be concerned that, especially it's like you're living right off of a common path or something, so you'd be concerned that it's going to be damaged, and it's certainly not covenant Torah. In that case, you would be allowed to pull it back in. The other case is that if a baby stroller rolls outside of the Eruv, and as long as you're still holding on to it, you can pull it back.
With or without? Yeah.
If you did take your hands off it, you have to leave the baby there. No. Or we'll talk more about it. We'll talk about more about it. Okay, so that is it, and that is all. And we go on. Okay, a few announcements. So first of all, thank you. I want to thank Elisha and Nika, Lizzie, for sponsoring breakfast this morning. It's in honor of her mother's yahrzeit, Esther Leah Bas Yechezkel HaKohen. So she should have an aliyah neshama. Okay, so also a few teachers won't be able to. So, Shoshi's not going to be teaching for the rest of the month. Ilana was going to substitute for her at 11 o'clock. Ilana's unfortunately still not feeling well, so she's not teaching at 10 or at 11. So we have alternate classes, right? Just in case anybody didn't know. So we have Shana Falk has a group that it's interesting. It's a nice discussion group, but also text-based, okay? Ilana's not teaching. Parsha Pearls with Miriam, does the Parsha Shavua with Miriam Krause. And then we have the Advanced Chabura and the West Coast Chabura. I don't know, that's what Dvar calls it. The West Coast Chabura. So two groups that are doing the EU and doing the study of Chumash. Then it's at 11 o'clock. So we have Sefer Shmuel with Shana Shulami Tillis is teaching inspiring insights and life guidance from the weekly Torah reading. Okay, Ilana's not. Doba Shaver teaches Perek Shira. Nesivot Shalom, that's a Chabura that meets over here to study the Solimer Rebbe, and those are your choices. Just want to remind you, we got off to a very nice start at 12:30. Chaya Ben Baruch is doing a workshop on journaling. So if that's what you so desire, what you're so interested in, it's a very nice class. Okay, also, if you didn't see this in the email, we finally found a place for our night of gifts. Okay, first of all, the date will be Tuesday, February 18th. Okay, and it's going to be, everybody know? Drum roll. Okay, Harav Humani Alush, Beit Knesset Harav Humani Alush. You all know where that is? In the Shuk, right? It's that very nice synagogue in the Shuk. We've all been to some weddings and bar mitzvahs and things there. It's a very nice space. So, yeah. So
Upstairs.
Exactly. So we can kind of get into gear and get going on some of our things. What? I don't know offhand. It's probably about the 15th. Yeah. Something like that. Or it's the 20th. It's after Tu B'Shvat. Okay. That's right. You're right. I checked after Tu B'Shvat. Yeah. Okay. So that's okay. Also, just want to remind everybody, we have a can for the money that we're raising for the soldiers. Where's the can? Okay, thank you. And there's also the box, this metal box, if you'd like to pay. Monthly dues are 100 shekel, or you can pay weekly. So it's 25 shekels for the morning classes and breakfast, 20 shekels for the afternoon class, and you can give as much or as little as you like.
Do we need to be like asking people or trying to collect donations, gifts for that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. If you, I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to be chairman in charge of talking to the artists.
Which artists?
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk. You'd like to volunteer? Oh, okay. Listen, you have to. It's very risky to put your hand up here. She just agreed to give $1,000. The greatest, really. So, okay. Yeah. What did you like?
I'm missing.
Oh.
Not just my husband special. It's coach.
Oh.
And
From last Monday, the people taking it.
No. It was like 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks.
I'm the type of person, I give people a benefit and don't bring it back. Well, and so I finally faced up to my husband.
Oh.
And my cook disappeared while I was on Beit Medrash. It wasn't anybody really. I said, but I saw, we were over there, I saw a couple ladies and they were over back there in the back where my coat was. There was a table that was running across and a lot of us would put our clothes or jackets and we sat up on that table. And so we ended up over there. So anyway, when I came back over there, it was off.
What does it look like? Yeah, what color is it?
It's like a golden brown gray, and I went to my depths, which is a short coat. It's button tight up, kind of down. But it was my husband's favorite coat, and he bought it special for me. And he wrote this morning, missing.
But you say you saw them put it on.
No, I saw the women were back there. The cook was on the back. And whenever there was a table running across, and we used to put our things on top of that table. And that's what
I have an idea, but I'll make sure you're talking.
I asked my
All right.
I see. What about talking to the rabbi of the shul?
Yeah.
I can't imagine anybody here would take my phone, but I think I need to forget. So I can give you the number for the rabbi of the shul. Yeah.
Right, maybe somebody put it away.
Also the secretary. Anybody that has a background Portuguese, maybe they speak by mistake.
Anyways, if anybody took it by mistake, if you could please bring it back to Miriam, she obviously needs, it's cold.
Hold on.
All right, also, I just want to remind everybody that it's time to go through your jewelry. You know, part of this program on the 18th will be a jewelry sale. So time to go through your stuff and find your beautiful, very valuable jewelry. Very. And you donate it, and that's okay. Also, if there are any artists who would like to, no, I mean, stuff, you know, whatever you have that's nice, that you, let's say something you love, but it went with that pink thing that you don't own anymore. Well, you actually probably have another pink thing and another pink thing, don't you? No, it went with, you know, it went with something that's no longer, whatever it is, you know, you don't want it anymore, you don't wear it anymore, but it's nice. So bring it in, and Ilana will happily accept it. Okay, and
We have things that are worth $5, things that are worth $5. So, you know.
okay.
Just have an advertisement, my advertisement for my husband, Ralph Milton's, his books are on sale and they're amazing. And so is he. And so you're welcome. They're 80